Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be replacing the inner fender liner on our 2007 Honda CR-V. Underneath the car here, you can see there's just one little piece of that splash guard that remains. The rest has been torn off. That was because basically the bottom scraped and there's some damage on the inside of the liner. You can see here on the driver's side that the splash guard is intact, just for comparison. Now, what is a little frustrating about this is you have to buy this entire part. I went ahead and did that because I wanted to replace it, show you how to do it on the video, but you can probably pick these up at your local salvage yard, and especially if all you need is to replace the splash guard. You can see here, these are kind of like plastic crimped on to the bottom of the liner. So if your liner is in good shape and you just need to pick up this piece, you can reattach a piece like this from the salvage yard to your existing liner. It'll take you 5 minutes. But what we're gonna do today, because we have some other cracks and damage up in this area, is we're just gonna replace the entire thing. Here's the parts diagram excerpt. This is the inner fender liner that we're going to be replacing. I picked up all of the clips and bolts and screws and connectors to see what we need. And this image is showing the driver's side, but there's the passenger or driver side, obviously. And here's the individual part numbers for this project. I'll put these in the description below. So I can have some access to show you what I'm doing, I'm going to go ahead and remove the front tire. The jack point you'll see is right behind the tire here. There's a ridge, and so we're going to put wheel chocks behind the rear tires, and we'll jack this up to remove the wheel now. I'm going to put one of these behind each of the rear tires. Now I'm just going to lift the car up with our floor jack, but you can use the jack that comes with the car. Before I lift this up too far, I'm going to loosen the lug nuts. Depending on your car and accessories, you may have one of your lug nuts as a wheel lock, and there'll be a special socket for that particular lug nut. Okay, now with the tire off the ground, I'll remove the rest of the lug nuts. So from this angle here, you can see this inner liner is split all the way up here. This area is shredded, the splasher mud guard's gone, and it's loose, some clips are missing. So to get it removed, we have these mud guards or mud flaps or splash guards, whatever they're called. I'm going to remove that piece first, and then we'll be able to take off the entire liner. All right, so that's a 0.5 view now with the whole liner exposed. And you can see there's a number of screws, plastic little push clips and whatnot that run this arc. So I'm just gonna work my way up from this side around to the front and take out every one that I see. As you can see, some of these are already missing. Now, this one here, I'll show you, this is one of these little plastic clips that has a push and lock. So we're going to get a screwdriver in to pry this out to remove it. But when I replace it with the new one, it's going to have a complete locking piece like that. I'll show you that part later. So popping that one out, just like that. It gets a little bit tough here where some of these parts are munged, so just try to remove everything carefully. One more, I forgot, underneath here on the side of the bumper on the underside is a bolt here, and then inside it has a clip right here. Okay, so there's a nut clip, and that nut down here That was a bit of a pain because it had been all basically seized together. So little liquid wrench, 10 millimeter socket, and pliers, and you can remove that. Okay, now we can work out the inner liner from behind the fender. All right, now I have that inner fender liner out. There is a ton of leaves and crap in here, so I'm just gonna clean this out before we put the new one in. Here's another view of the damage on the old part compared to the new one. In the front here, behind the bumper, I've got one clip area that looks like it's loose and bent, probably from part of the damage. I'm gonna use some special Loctite for hard to glue plastics, and I'm gonna put a piece of plastic down here at the base so that this will be held more firmly in position when I go to reattach the liner. So I've just glued that spare piece of plastic behind the clip so you can see it provides some support from the back for when something is pushed in through this clip, and it should give it some integrity. Now we can put the new liner piece in. I'm going to just start by fitting it in the front and working my way around to the back. So slipping it back in and behind the clip here and lining it up with the channels and the clips for the front will be the most tricky because we've got clips going in this way, clips coming up this way, and some coming around and through the back. So what I'm actually doing is lining it up behind this plastic piece because there's a ridge and a little trim piece to hook. And so I'm just getting it situated up in here, and I'm just going to come kind of across like this, get these pieces in like that, and work my way over. And I'm going to put just the clips in on the top to hold it in up here. Then I can work on the more complicated lining up of the pieces in the front and the back. So what I'm going to do is attach these plastic clips just along the top where I've got the liner inside the seam where it belongs, just to sort of tack it in place. Then I can focus on the front and the back areas, which are more complex to line up. So there's one of the clips in on the top, and I fed this behind the seam, but I wanted to note that over here, there is a need to put the liner behind this tab so that the rest of it fits in the channel above and below. Now this one up here is actually one of the screws. So we're gonna just attach that now. Make sure it goes through both plastic pieces. Down here, we have two screws that are gonna go in these two holes. This hole here is gonna be for the mud flap afterwards. So I'll get these in. And then right up here is going to be a spot for one of those plastic clips. We're just going to push the clip in till the base is in place, and then push in top until it clicks, and that holds it in place there. We've got another one of these clips up at the top here, so I'm just going to push this in and then pop in till it clips in place like that. Now, down here along the front end, it can get a little bit tricky to figure out where things are gonna go. But basically, here's that clip receptacle that I glued to brace it. You've got a channel hole here. This piece is gonna sit over the top of that. Here is your clip nut on the fender liner. That is gonna slide in and sit back here on top of these two plastic pieces. You got the bottom of the bumper and this plastic piece right here. So that is going to slide up and sit over there like that. And I'll point to it right there. and you'll have the bolts come up through the bottom to attach those three pieces, 1, 2, 3, together, with this channel here going over the top of this piece here to line it up. Then up here, we're going to put another one of those plastic clips, and as we come down, we make sure the fender liner is behind this plastic piece here, and we have another clip there. Okay, and then once you've got those pieces lined up on the back side, you can put this bolt back through those three pieces, and it will attach to the locking clip on the inside, and you'll feel it thread in place. Then coming around here, you'll make sure that that liner is in the channel like I showed before, and then you'll have that opening there, and you can make sure here that the liner is fed into the channel behind the outer fender liner here, and then we can attach the screws and clips that remain. Now you'll see up here 1 and 2 holes. We're going to put screws back in there to attach those two pieces. Now this one's a little bit tricky. It doesn't hold the regular grommet push pin plastic piece, and there's no way to get in behind there with your fingers. So what I've used is the grommet screw piece, and I'm going to put a screw through. So I'm going to get the grommet piece into that hole, and then I'm going to screw through the pieces like that. Now you can see there I pushed in the grommet piece, and now I'm going to put the screw through here. I'm not 100% sure if it's supposed to be a bigger clip like this, but that wasn't listed on what Honda gave me. There it is now, screwed in and snug, and you got much more firm connection there. Okay, we put another push pin grommet through here at the bottom. We've got one for here in the front, another one over here. And then before we reattach the mud flap, I'll just do a tally here of what we have. So starting from the back, we've got a hole here, here, and here. Those are the three for the mud flap. You've got 2 screws here at the bottom. Coming up, you've got 2 grommet push plastic pieces. Coming up further, you've got a screw there. Coming up here and around, there's a push pin grommet here. Coming down towards the front here, we've got another push pin grommet. The screw here, which I attached with the grommet nut in the back, but on the driver's side is a larger push pin grommet like this, but this holds it in place. Coming back up, plastic pieces here and here. Here we have a screw coming forward, another screw coming forward, another push pin plastic grommet piece. Down here, another push pin piece. And then underneath, you have the nut with the clip that goes through 3 pieces up behind the bumper. So then give it a final check. Make sure the seam is behind the outer liner like this, and that everything is secure, and now we'll reattach the mud flap. All right, so there it is, all reattached. Now we'll get the wheel back on and then lower the car. Okay, so we got the lug nuts back on now, not tightened all the way. We'll lower the car down and then give a final tighten on the lug nuts. Okay, so that's how you replace the inner fender liner on the 2007 Honda CR-V. Thanks very much for watching. Okay, so we'll lower the car now.
So